Today, we're going to unpack a truly wild piece of history. We're talking about 3.5 decades in Spain that were so explosive, they saw a monarchy completely fall apart, a republic rise from the ashes, and then the entire nation just tear itself to pieces in a horrific civil war. So let's trace the path that led to all that chaos.
I mean, that's the real question here, isn't it? How on earth does a country go through that much change, that much violence in just 35 years? It seems impossibly fast. How could a nation unravel so completely? Well, the answer isn't just one single event, it was a whole cascade of them.
And this mind map right here is the perfect way to visualize it. I want you to think of this whole story as a series of dominoes. Each one is set up behind the other, and once the first one gets pushed, it starts a chain reaction that just can't be stopped. So, we're going to follow these dominoes, one by one, to see how a country that seemed stable just spiraled into disaster.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off at the start of the 20th century. Spain is a kingdom, ruled by King Alfonso XIII. And you know, on the surface, things might have looked okay. But as we're about to see, the foundations of that kingdom were, well, incredibly shaky.
So, you had this political setup called the Restoration System, and the whole idea behind it was stability. You had two big parties, the conservatives and the liberals, and they basically just took turns being in charge. Sounds stable, right? The problem was, this whole thing was built on a foundation of sand. It was a total illusion.
And the engine driving this whole corrupt machine was a concept called caciquismo. This was the dirty secret of the whole system. You had these local political bosses, the caciques, and they controlled everything. We're talking fixing elections, handing out jobs to their buddies, and flat out forcing people to vote a certain way. For the average Spaniard, this meant democracy was a complete joke. Now, a system this rotten, it's just not built to last, right? It can't handle any real pressure. And in the early 1900s, the first major shocks started to hit, and boy, did they reveal just how weak the whole structure really was.
A huge part of the problem was Spain's colonial dream in northern Morocco. You can see the area here on the map. This attempt to conquer the Rif region turned into an absolute quagmire. It was bloody, it was expensive, and it was deeply unpopular back home. It was just draining the country of its money and its morale.
And what's so wild is how you can just watch these crises stack up on this timeline. In 1909, you get massive riots in Barcelona because people are furious about the war. Fast forward to 1917, and the entire country is paralyzed by unrest. And then comes 1921, the absolute lowest point.
Over 10,000 Spanish soldiers were killed in what became known as the Disaster of Renewal. This wasn't just a battle lost, it was a national trauma. It exposed jaw-dropping levels of incompetence from the top down and created this huge wave of public anger aimed squarely at the government and even the king himself.
And let's just zoom in on that 1917 crisis for a second, because it really was a perfect storm. You had the military forming their own illegal unions, basically defying the government's authority. The politicians were totally paralyzed, couldn't agree on anything, and at the same time, massive strikes were shutting down the cities. The system was failing everywhere, all at once.
So, with the country basically on the verge of collapse, a drastic solution starts to look pretty appealing. The idea was, hey, instead of trying to fix this broken system, let's just get rid of it. This was the dictator's big gamble.
In 1923, a general, Primo de Rivera, stages a military coup, and here's the absolute key moment. King Alfonso XIII gave it his blessing. By backing the dictatorship, the king made a fateful bet. He tied the entire future of the monarchy to whether or not this authoritarian experiment would work out.
So the dictatorship kind of had two acts. The first part was all military rule, cracking down on everyone, suppressing all opposition. But then it shifted to a civil phase, and for a little while, things actually seemed to be getting better. The war in Morocco was finally won, and the economy was booming. But, and it's a big but, it was all propped up by a global economic bubble. When the Wall Street crash hit in 1929, the whole thing came crashing down. And this next quote, wow, it just says it all. This came from Admiral Aznar, who was the king's very last prime minister. After the dictatorship failed so spectacularly, public opinion turned on the monarchy with breathtaking speed. The king was now blamed for the entire disastrous experiment.
So boom, the next big domino falls. With the monarchy totally discredited, Spain decided to try something completely new and radical, a democratic republic, one that was filled with all this hope and the promise of a truly modern future.
Now, the funny thing is, the end of the monarchy was incredibly peaceful. There were these local city elections in April 1931, and everyone treated them like a referendum on the king. When the Republican parties won in all the major cities, Alfonso knew the writing was on the wall. He just packed his bags and went into exile. And just like that, the Second Republic was born.
And the vision for this new republic? It was incredibly ambitious. We're talking one of the most progressive constitutions on the planet at that time. It gave women the vote, separated church and state, legalized divorce, gave autonomy to regions like Catalonia. This was a revolutionary break from the old conservative Spain.
But, and this is the absolute tragedy of the story, for a lot of powerful people in Spain, like the church, the army, the rich landowners, these bold new reforms were way too much, way too fast. And almost immediately, the Republic's dream started to unravel under the force of a massive conservative backlash.
You can literally see the political pendulum just swinging wildly back and forth. For the first 2 years, you have all these left-wing reforms, but that provoked so much anger that in 1933 the conservatives won power and immediately started trying to undo everything. Well, that reversal then sparked a violent workers' uprising in 1934. The country was lurching from one extreme to the other, and any chance for a stable middle ground was just being torn to shreds.
And then, as if things weren't chaotic enough, the conservative government gets hit with this massive corruption scandal. It involved a rigged roulette game called the Estraperlo, if you can believe it. It exposed rot at the highest levels of government, totally destroyed their credibility, and forced new elections to be called for 1936.
And this brings us to the final tragic chapter. By 1936, the idea of compromise was dead. The political disagreements had turned into pure, irreconcilable hatred. The country was a powder keg, just waiting for a match. That match was lit in February 1936. A coalition of left-wing parties called the Popular Front won a very narrow but clear victory in the elections. For a lot of conservatives, monarchists, and army officers, this was the absolute last straw. They gave up on politics entirely and started planning a military coup. That spring of 1936 was just total chaos. The new government was trying to get its reforms back on track, but the streets were filled with violence. Political gangs from the far right and the far left were literally fighting battles in the streets. All the while, behind the scenes, conservative generals were plotting their takeover. The final trigger came in July when a major monarchist politician was assassinated. That gave the generals the excuse they needed. On July 17th, they launched their uprising. The last domino had fallen.
Which leaves us with this big, haunting question. When you look back at this whole chain reaction, the corrupt system, the disastrous wars, the failed dictatorship, the radical polarization, was the Spanish Civil War just inevitable, or was there a moment, maybe just one domino, that could have fallen a different way and changed the course of history forever?